I did not ever get to make a record attempt. The only runs that we did at Durhamtown were practice runs. I was going very slowly, I was trying to memorize the track, so I didn't get a full send in and really didn't even get a hard run at all whatsoever. We were sub 2 minutes, so I've got to pick up 20 seconds. But I'm absolutely convinced we can get that done and I can actually hold the record with this machine. If I give it a full send and I've got all the boost and I've got all the things in it, and I'm way off the mark, then I will concede at that point. So that's where we're at with regard to the record. Now the buggy itself, a couple of big things that we need to fix is the axle. We need to make this thing reliable again to the point where I can take it out to Durhamtown and I can beat on it. And I know it's not gonna fall apart on me. At least the axle, the drivetrain, the engine's not gonna fall apart. The buggy held up really well overall for the whole trip. I'm gonna go with the original setup, which is more support to prevent the engine from rocking from side to side, and I think that'll resolve the issue. But for now, we're gonna stick with these CVs. We've gotta get that CV repaired and get this thing back together so I can actually start making some other changes to the project. This is the CV that is separating. This whole transmission is shifting. It's torquing that way. And so naturally it's going to put pressure over here and it's going to separate that CV joint. So what I had done to resolve that was I added this stability mount right here. It was supposed to prevent the engine and the transaxle from rising and from dropping, but also I thought it was going to add some stability right to left. What I realized very quickly on day one out there is that that stability mount is not providing any stability from right to left. It is helping to keep the transaxle from rising, but it's not preventing it from torquing this way. And then what I'm thinking that I'm going to do is I will just have something that bolts here to the same hole that goes directly through the side of this engine mount. And then I will have it like a threaded rod where I can adjust from right to left the stability of that. And that will prevent the left from right twisting. And that should solve that issue. So let's get cracking on that. This is the original Mirage stub axle, and I cut it right here where these welds are, and then I used the cup from the original buggy and I just welded that on straight. Look at that baby. Oh yeah. Wow. Cracked right down through. So that would definitely explain some of the later failures. You can see where there's actual hard damage to this outer cup here where the bearings were being yanked through. So here's what I believe happened. It pulled out past this, possibly causing damage to this outer portion of this, which may have weakened it. But what I believe is that this probably cracked on the final time we were running it, because I only had 3 of those bearings in place. One of them was probably right here where this crack is, because instead of having 6 different pieces of contact around this cup, it only had 3 points of contact, and I was running it pretty hard. So I'm like 90% certain that running the 3 bearings is what probably caused this hub to fail completely. What I could do is I can cut this stub off again and put a Wildcat 700, a new cup on this, TIG weld it this time. I don't think I TIG welded this one. This is a RZR 800 axle. So the way that this works is I'm going to just cut this off. I'm gonna have to cut this one again, and then I'm just gonna have to re-weld that onto that cup. But the good news is, this cup, this time I build it, will have the maximum length throw. There's an extra, maybe an extra whole inch of throw in this cup the way that I'm going to weld this together. And then also, it's not worn out and beat up. Like you can see the condition of this one, just how poor the condition is. So having a brand new cup, bearings, grease, bowl, C-clip and everything, it should give us the much better reliability that we need. You can see because of everything that this has been through, there's some damage here. There's damage to most of these splines, or I don't know what you call them, these runners. Okay, so at this point my microphone went out on my main filming camera, so you're going to get me to do a commentary here for you. Alright, so we got the axle back together, and like you guys could see, I'm using the entire length cup of the new hub and every part here that's with this cup is new as well. The bearing carrier, the bearings are all from the new axle. And instead of me cutting the back end of that cup off and shortening it, and as you could see from my TIG welds, I put a lot of weld on that thing. I know it looks horrendous, but all I care about is that the thing never comes loose again, ever. We don't have issues with it. So I'm just putting this back together, and this is the little retaining clip that actually holds the thing together. This just slides into... There's 6 bearings, they slide into their channels, then you take this retaining clip, and that is what prevents those bearings from pushing out and pulling out of that CV cup. So once that is in there, you just drop your clip in, and then it just snaps into place, and it will not allow those bearings to overextend. So this should be resolved because now I've got an extra 1/2 inch to maybe as much as an inch additional throw out on this side from the CV now that it's been rebuilt in a better way. Alright, so now we've got to get our boot band clamps put into place. This is what I had trouble with at Durham Town. I went to an auto parts store and I bought what they call a universal, meaning it's a clamp that doesn't need a special tool, and they were complete garbage, guys. Don't ever waste your time with them. But the way that these work, these are the normal ones. These are standard boot clamps. You do need to have the specialty tool here, guys. Don't skimp on it. You really need this tool. They're like 15 bucks, 18 bucks, and get this style of tool that you see I'm holding here. And what you do is you feed through 2 loops. Then you're going to feed it through this little device here, and then there is a slot. You go through the center of that one. Make sure that your band is going in the direction to where if your axle spins, it's not going to make contact. And then you bend it back towards where your tabs are. And then I like to get a screwdriver on it while the tool is still holding it together with tension, and give it a few taps with the screwdriver on the end to flatten it out. And then I will remove the tool at that point, pull the tool out of there. I will bend the tabs on either side over the top, give it another whack with a screwdriver, and then cut the rest off, and you're good to go. Now with this one, we're going to do the same thing. I make 2 loops on the outer band portion. We're going to use our tool to tighten everything up, twist it, turn it back towards the direction away from where anything can get snagged, hit it with a screwdriver, clean off a little grease, flatten it out some more with a screwdriver, make sure your tabs are flat, get your tabs nice and flat, and then you'll just go ahead and cut the excess off, and that's it. That's done. That thing will never come apart again. All right, so all I'm doing here is removing the old stability mount. The new mount requires that I drill a hole in the side, like you can see I've done here. And then I've got this threaded rod with a small heim joint on the other end, and we're gonna thread that rod through there, and then just put a through bolt on that bottom bracket of the engine, and that will keep everything stable, and it will be adjustable, and it will keep it from rocking from side to side. Well, that's going to wrap it up for the CV repair. Hopefully this thing holds. I think it will, just because it's got the extra length on it. If you don't think it's going to hold, you can leave that comment below. I'd be curious to hear what you guys have to say about it. The next video, we're going to be taking Widow to the dyno to see what she can do in terms of horsepower and torque. And what I'm doing is I'm giving away 2 free Dirt Gear t-shirts. So if you head over to my Instagram, Dirt Gear TV, you can leave a comment on my recent post about how much horsepower and how much torque is going to be made on the dyno. We're giving away a free t-shirt for whoever gets the closest to the horsepower and whoever gets the closest to the torque figures. I'm Rick with Dirt Gear TV, and we'll see you from the dyno in the next video.